Hello and welcome to the People Do That podcast.
On this podcast, we're going to talk to people that do epic shit with their lives.
These are people that are good at life. We will talk to life coaches, sports broadcasters, fitness experts, Marine special ops, and even someone who became a doctor after the age of 50. Because you know what?
People do that.
People do that?
People do that.
Well, I give you just a little bit, I don't need a lot. Open up your heart, show me what you got. The sugar tastes sweet, coffee in the pot. Now give me just a little bit, just a little bit. Give me just yeah, now.
All right, boys, here we are in the new podcast room. We got kicked out of the Sombreros conference room, and now we're in a dark closet. How does everybody feel?
Musky.
Yeah. I guess my only question is the air better in here, or is it, are we still?
Not much.
Yeah, we're going to hot box ourselves even further now?
Just
Is that?
3 dudes, 1 closet. I mean, no big deal.
I wore some extra toxic degree deodorant today.
Oh, perfect. Reid didn't wear any deodorant,
yeah.
of course.
Yeah, he is kind of looking a little Johnny Cash-ish today, isn't he?
He looks good.
Is he the sporty Johnny Cash?
Ooh,
That's
nice.
a compliment.
I like that.
I want that to
Yeah.
catch on. I like that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. No, I've got my Dr. Squatch on today.
Are you wearing Dr. Squatch?
Yeah.
Good for
Yeah.
you.
I kind of like that.
The
Yeah.
orange shoes on. You look like David Pumpkins.
I don't know who that is.
From Saturday Night Live? David S. Pumpkins? Oh, sorry.
So we were at a family function last night, and our previous guest, Larry Solano, was there, the seated golfer, and it was just so awesome. I mean, if you guys haven't listened to that podcast yet, or that episode, it was one of the best ones, and just Larry, he's just so full of life, full of energy. It was awesome. He feels pretty amazing that he got to be on the podcast, and deservedly so.
Did you get to meet his wife? Was she there?
Yeah, I've met her before.
Oh, you
She's
have?
amazing.
Yeah.
And she just is like kind of like whatever. Like Larry just is Larry being Larry.
Okay, that's what I was gonna be.
imagining, yeah.
That was my question. Is like, does she come up to you and be like, "Oh my God, the podcast was so great," or whatever? Or is she just like, "No, that's just Larry every day."
Lisa is to Larry as Danielle is to
me.
Nick.
All right.
Yeah, it's just like somebody has to hold down the fort behind the scenes.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Do the actual work.
Yeah. So, but I got to get right into another awkward Tim story.
We should have like a banner that says
episode?
"Getting awkward with Tim," like or something. Okay, yeah. Can we get that edited in, like some bubble screen up here, and then like some cheesy picture of you, like
Awkward with Tim, episode 227. So nice little Saturday last weekend. Julie and I do a little yoga class at Soleil Yoga, and then we're going to the Gilbert Farmers Market, which is lovely.
yeah.
And it's packed. Weather's beautiful. Can't find parking spot anywhere.
Yeah.
Going in and out of like the big lot, you know. And so finally, I hate to do it, but I saw 2 young moms pushing strollers. I know they're walking down the aisle, and you know they're going to their car. I don't know where that car is.
Oh God.
So I start the slow creep behind them.
Who's in the car? Just you and Julie?
Just me and Julie in
Okay.
her car, because we took her car to the yoga class. So just me and Julie, the slow creep, and they just walk, and we're just watching them. And then I'm like, they start to make their way to a car, and I'm like, Julie, because we're meeting people at Liberty Market. I'm like, you go ahead and get out. I'll wait for them. It's going to take them forever with strollers and car seats and everything, but I'll just sit here and wait. It's no big deal. So she's like, cool. So she gets out of the car, walks away. I'm sitting there, and then her car beeps, and it's like the keys are missing, and you need the keys, but she had the keys because they were with her. So I look up in the rearview mirror to see her, and I see her that she's not that far, but she's pretty far. So I'm like, I'm going to get her attention. So I wailed on the horn.
Oh.
I wailed on it 3 times, pretty solid, because she was far away. Like, hopefully she recognizes it, but also recognizing the horn where the 2 moms struggling to get their kids in the car, and the a-hole in the Volvo was just pounding on the horn. Why does this keep happening to me?
Did you roll down like, no, it's not you. It's not for you.
Well, I tried to, and then, but they weren't looking. I mean, they glared at me first, like they wanted to flip
Like,
me
you
off and
asshole.
fight me.
Fair.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like we're trying here, and it hadn't been that long. I hadn't given them that much time. And so I'm like trying to like wave, and I'm like, well, I'll get their attention and honk again. I'm like, no, that's stupid. But then luckily Julie heard me. She came and brought my keys, and then I'm like, they think I did it. She's like, you're an idiot. Freaking idiot. So she went running over to them and she's like, you guys, he was honking at me. And they're probably like, yeah, right.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, you're married to that animal.
Yeah. Do you always have to do this for him? Like,
Yep,
Okay.
covering for
One
him.
for yes or two if you need help.
Oh, I wouldn't want to know what she put down for that.
Oh man.
So we got a great guest today. Are you guys ready to like just kind of expand our minds?
I need to do it
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
I
Is
need
now
it.
a good time for
I
you
think
where you
it's
need to do this?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
All right, so we got Christina coming in, Asha coming in, and we'll go grab her, and we'll be right back in a minute. All right, fellas, this is another guest that I have wanted to have on the podcast since the inception. Christina Rich, who now goes by Asha, is as unique and eccentric as they come, while also being one of the most influential people I have ever met. I first met her as a yoga teacher at my wife's studio, but she is so much more than that. I'm just going to bullet point some of the unique and badass traits of Asha. She is 300-hour yoga certified and teaches at least 5 classes a week. She hosts unique sensory experiences and workshops. She is a backpacking guide and takes women in nature for personal initiations, which happened this past weekend. She just completed a year-long mentorship in astrology, tarot reading, and setting the gene keys. Gene keys are new to me. I'm super intrigued by that. She studies biodynamic farming and is in the process of becoming completely self-sustaining. She is doing a research project on the neuroscience of dance. She is fascinated by ritual, ceremony, and rites of passage, and has created a sacred community for women. Oh, and in her spare time, she likes to go in the desert with her husband and kids looking for bones, skulls, and feathers. My friends, I would like to introduce you to one of the most interesting and badass warrior women on the planet. Meet the yogi formerly known as Christina, Mrs. Asha Rich. Welcome.
Yeah.
So that's it then? Just that?
Well,
That's all
That's
she's
it?
done.
That's it?
She's pretty boring, so
first
we're going to have
question.
to carry her.
Do you sleep?
Very well.
How many hours a night?
7 or 8.
7 or 8. Is that like a thing?
Yeah.
Like
Pretty intentional.
you have to. If you find it's starting to get too late, you're like, nope, this is the time.
Shut it down.
Well, I have a morning ritual and that has to happen, and I like to be like fully present for that. And if I'm exhausted during that, it's not as, I don't know.
I think we need to start with the morning ritual.
Morning,
then.
it's
Mine
good.
is coffee. What is yours?
Wow.
seeing the sun. I'm Garrett, right? Are you watching the sunrise? I'm picturing this.
Eventually, yes,
All
I
right.
do watch the sunrise.
All
There's,
right.
like, I'm sure you all know the science behind that. Yeah.
No, not really.
Yeah. It's the whole thing.
We failed science over here.
Take us through the ritual.
Yeah.
Okay, so usually I get out of bed and I go right away and sit to my altar and light a candle and do meditation, do breath work, do dance, do stretching, talk to my guides, write in my journal, study my stuff. It's about a 3-hour process. Yeah.
Okay.
Wow. That
Okay.
is so much more
all
than
right.
just coffee.
By the way, we could spend
Do
one-
have coffee or tea.
Yeah.
we could spend 1 hour on just this right
What just
now.
happened
Yes.
right there? Yeah.
Because you said talk to my guides.
That got me.
Wh-
Yeah.
Is there someone there with you, or on the phone, or?
So if you ever do like guided visualization or guided imagery or using your imagination or anything like that in order to communicate with higher archetypes of yourself, I would say those are kind of my guides.
So it's not talking to someone on the phone or someone that's in the room with you. It's
in my mind,
in your mind. It is.
in a vision in my mind,
And you can bring this on every morning. You can like have
every
it.
day.
Wow.
Several times. I do it probably 2 or 3 times a day.
Not for 3 hours though.
No, morning is 3 hours.
What time does that start?
4:30-ish.
By 7:30, you're just like, all right, now I'm ready.
Good.
Yeah, and then I'm like, I better do normal human things, I guess.
If you could do it all day, would you?
There
Like
you
if
go.
you could just.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've got stuff brewing. Like yeah, I would definitely.
What does that mean, brewing?
I've just got a lot of creative projects that I do for myself, and it's not necessarily to pitch to anybody. It's like my own personal studies and projects that I'm really into, and I just like to research, and I have my hands in a lot of baskets because I'm a really curious person, and when I find something I'm curious about, I just tend to dive in and go pretty deep.
Yeah.
What? So the people that in your mind they're real. Is it all versions of you?
I would say in a way.
Do they have names?
Yeah, totally. They have names. They'll come up as different archetypes, like I said, or if I want to speak to someone specific, I will call in someone specific and talk to that person. So,
Are you talking out loud or are you talking in your mind?
it's in my mind.
What is it typically that you're talking about?
Anything that I have a question about, anything that I'm trying to solve, any ideas that I'm trying to be creative with, things I'm feeling inspired to do, just anything, doesn't matter. Relationship things, how dealing with children, anything.
Wow. And have you always been like inquisitive like this, like your whole life?
No. No.
Imaginary friends?
Probably yes. I know that I was always in my imagination. Okay. I don't have a ton of memories from when I was like little kid, but then I had a big stint of my life where I didn't have very much individuality at all. And so I think once I gave myself permission to go back into my own individuality, that's what we were talking about, the whole church situation.
Right.
And then once I got my individuality back, then I started giving myself permission to explore all of my weirdness.
Because I've only known you 2.5 years, I think, since I met you through the yoga studio. And you've always been like this to me. Like I remember like all the, teachers there I think are pretty amazing and interesting in so many ways. And a lot of them are like the people that I kind of wish I was in some ways, but I'm more reserved. And like, I've only known that version of you. So when did that version of you start?
The big disruption of my life, the best thing that ever happened to me, I would say, it probably happened in 2016, 2017, when I had like a really intense paradigm shift that was like a physiological experience where I felt an axis turn in my brain, and all of a sudden the world was different to me in an instant. Like everything became very different, and it was very scary, but also really incredible. And just from there, it was like I was in a boat or in a box, and then I was just not in that.
Just
that
like
reality
overnight,
anymore.
or
no, in an instant.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Was it part of something greater happening in life, or were you just like in bed, woke up, and it flipped?
I was kind of facing an internal battle of where I was at with my life, with my spirituality, and I had a friend who had presented me with some contradictory information to what I currently believed. And so once I kind of gave myself permission to think outside of that box, I think it just kind of like struck me like lightning. Like I said, that my reality as I knew it, like because the story is told for you in religion, like what you're going to do, what this looks like, what happens after this, and this is what life is about. And then all of a sudden, when everything you've invested your last 20 years of your life, your time, your money, like your emotional, everything, your whole identity is invested in this system. And then when you like see that system in a completely different light, it's shocking. It's shocking.
Yeah. So it was around the religion that was that it? Like, and then your friend came and said, "Hey, but what about this, this, and this?" No.
She had left the religion and kind of said, "Well, haven't you heard about this?" And I was like, "No, I haven't heard about that." And I don't want to throw anything under the bus because I still have a lot of family members who are in it. It's not my intention to like prove anything untrue for anybody else. It's my own personal experience. And I was like, "Hey, my testimony's really strong. I bet I can read that and be just fine." And nope, it was like bam. And so
really, so you read it and you're like, "Wait, this puts so many questions in my head."
It wasn't even like a question in my head. It was like a completely different reality had occurred, and you just, I don't know, it was an odd, and I've had a couple other experiences like that since, but none as dramatic, I don't think.
And so I think we could talk about the religion because it was the Mormon religion, but I think we could probably say this could have happened with any religion, so it's not specifically picking. I have
several friends from all kinds of
right, so it's not picking on anybody like that. But when you like, I grew up Catholic, and you too, yeah, and you just like you go through your whole life, and all you know is what you've been taught, and you think that's the right way, and you think that's what. I mean, anybody who doesn't believe, it's kind of like, oh, it's so sad for them. They don't believe like what we believe. And then it's usually later in life when you start looking around and like, wait, why have I always been in these stories that we're told? And is that kind of like the idea you had, or was it more intense?
I would say that it was probably more intense. Mine was more how I just viewed people, how I viewed the world, how I viewed like every aspect of my life was, why am I doing now? I don't know why I'm doing this anymore if that's not real. And so it just becomes, I was living one life, and now I call it like line jumping. I just jumped into a completely different dimension, and here's where we are now, and we got to figure this out.
And you got a husband and 4 kids that were all Mormon as well, right?
Yeah.
So did they jump with you, or how did that go?
Yeah, the kids pretty much jumped with me, which was interesting because I didn't want to, I'm not one to convince anybody of anything. It was, I supported them, and they know that, and whatever they want to do with their lives. The marriage one was a little more complicated, and I had to, learning how to respect each other through that transition when you've made promises that this is what you're going to do and this is who you're going to be, and all of a sudden one person's like, no, I'm not going to be that anymore. It's like it's a very interesting time.
Yeah.
But very character building and very bonding for our relationship ultimately.
Yeah.
And then, did you have these suspicions prior to, or was it literally just boom? Like you said, it was pretty dramatic and quick, but did you have was this like filtering together?
Yeah,
and
like questioning it almost. Like,
right?
I don't know.
I was
like everything lining up. And then,
I was pretty much right in that wave, I think. I had my little stints because I wasn't raised that way, actually.
Fair.
I wasn't raised that way.
So wait, because you went to Red Mountain, right?
Yeah.
You lived in Mesa.
Yeah.
But you were raised Mormon, or you became Mormon at
At a later time. So
Okay.
like 14 or 15.
Okay. Wow. I think that's one thing
comfortable time of I'm like 8. It's like
Just take on massive
everything's
change.
Great.
Yes.
Story of my life.
No
Yeah,
awkwardness at
like,
all.
hey, by the way, now that you're 14, you in? Oh, fuck yeah, let's do it.
It sounded really good. So what sold me, like, there's so much beauty in that organization as far as like how they are able to organize. I think it's absolutely fantastic how they teach you to stand up in front of a microphone from a very young age is a very good skill to acquire. How to be in charge of a group of people and, make everyone feel included and reach out to people who are having a hard time. Like, there's a lot of really good aspects to it, just not the doctrine. For me.
Yeah.
For me.
Well, and you do a good job on your Instagram, and we'll make sure we put that in here later. But just you do a good job not towing the line, but you're honest and open about your experience. But at the same time, you're not bashing anybody or anything. You're just speaking to what your experience was like.
Yeah, I try.
Yeah.
It's been a big part of the healing process for it, I think, is being able to hold space for it and not be there, because you go through stages with it. You go through your whole grief cycle. There's a lot of anger at first, and you have to go through that naturally. And I think everybody expresses that in a lot of different ways, which leads me back to my point. Like, you would be surprised at the amount of LDS women that reach out to me for help.
Really?
A lot.
I bet you're making a huge impact in that arena because
it's just an honor that they would even think to reach out to me, knowing like my descent. But when you leave and you're in small communities, it's very like noticeable. And there were communities that I had to watch that transition of me being Sister Rich to me being Asha Christina, which is like wild for some people. Even, if I run into them now, it's probably a little shocking.
Well, they're probably, when the doors close, she went weird. Something happened.
Weird.
Like, that's probably what they say, right?
I'm sure a lot of people that aren't LDS say that about me.
Right. But then the reality is you're like, no, like, I'm figuring out who I am and what should really be going on, right? And that was 2016, 17 is what you said?
Yeah, but also there's a part of me that's a really big instigator, and in my gene keys actually is like what I study a lot. One of my gift and my purpose is revolution. And so I like to cause a little bit of controversy. I think that it's in a healthy way. I think that it's good. And that's why I share the message that I share, is because I'm not going to threaten you, but I am going to invite you to ask a bigger question.
That's awesome.
All right, so I think we got to stop there and say gene keys.
Gene keys.
Gene keys. Not jinkies like Scooby-Doo.
Not janky.
Or not like where I left, not where I left my keys the other night
I
after I
think
had
he
too
was
much to
a-
drink. My
I
jeans.
think he's
You will
a
remember
famous
it that
saxophone
way.
player, Gene Keys.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gene Keys.
Yeah.
It's like,
For real?
Old 88s. Goes
No,
by
I
the
did
name
my
Old
research this
88s.
weekend. Julie and I watched a full YouTube by the author, is it Rudd? Or
Richard Rudd.
Richard Rudd, and
Yeah.
learned all about gene keys. And
Wow.
next thing I know, this book like this thick shows up at our house that
Yeah.
Julie's interested. I don't think she's cracked it yet, but tell
It's
us
not
about what
new.
it is.
Okay, wow.
But to
we're-
idiots though.
Dummy it down for the caveman.
Yeah, like at least for me and him.
Oh, I'm there with
Tim's
you.
got the big book. I don't know if I can.
So gene keys is it's an interesting thing. It plays off of a lot of systems that have been around for a long time. Human design is a big one. I Ching is a big one. It also uses astrology to kind of plan your chart. And just like I was listening to the astrology podcast.
Tom.
Yes.
Yes, it's great. So the way he explained it was really beautiful, because the way you come in, it's kind of like where the planets are. And if you think about this as kind of like geometry, okay? The planets are in a certain place and you come in at this certain time, and where the planets are determine your code essentially for who you are. So like if you were going to write a program in a computer, it would have a very specific code, very specific numbers in certain places so that it could do certain things. So we come in with a code and we're here living out our codes. Well, astrology will tell you a lot of things about this, and Gene Keys uses astrology to say, here, let's take this further and go into your work, your purpose, your like love life, all different kinds of aspects of you, but it breaks it down kind of into an archetypal fashion. And then it even takes it further into 3 different segments. So you have your shadow version of every key, and you have your gift, and you have your siddhi, which is like your highest level of your essence, which, just taps into occasionally. Living in your gift is what you want to know mainly.
Okay.
But you also want to be really identified with your shadow and kind of understand what that is, because that kind of, I think, being aware of your shadow helps you to be way more effective.
Is your shadow kind of like,
The dark side.
like your negative aspects, or something you need to keep an eye on?
Um,
Oh yeah, we're past.
Is it?
I don't necessarily. No, it's not past.
past.
It's ways that we can behave when we're not behaving very consciously.
Okay.
Behaviors that we get into when we're
yeah.
like, we do like our whatever. Sometimes we call them our vices, but it's not even a vice. It's just like when we're interacting and it's not in integrity. That's
Right,
usually when we're in our shadow. And so it will reveal, and everybody has very different keys. There's 64 of them, just like there's 64 strands to our DNA. And so, and all of them are connected in very interesting ways. And sometimes he will refer to it as evolution. You'll go through like an evolutionary change, which the codes in your DNA kind of evolve, and you're able to like see people who kind of elevate in their consciousness and whatever. When you meet those people, when you meet those people, you're like, whoa, they've discovered something.
Really?
So when you see people, like when you meet people, do you like already start looking at like, okay, I wonder what his shadow is and his gift, and then
What he's trying to say is, are you doing it to us?
are you doing? Are we being judged?
I've got 5 planets in Scorpio. I do it to everyone.
What does that mean?
Oh
He said like cavemen.
we're so overmatched.
5? How am I ever
What was the
gonna get
last
there?
one? It was shadow, gift, and then
Siddhi.
Siddhi, it's a
Siddhi.
Sanskrit name. It's
Okay.
like, means your essence.
Your
like,
essence.
Yeah, your highest. Like, and it's not something that we'll like sit around and live in. If you've ever studied like David Hawkins' books, he did Power versus Force. You have these levels of your consciousness. Like he does the kinesiology muscle testing and tested so many things. And when you're at like a lower level vibration, you'll have a lower score, but then you'll cross these levels and come up to this certain emotions or certain experiences will cause you to be at these higher levels of consciousness.
So you were saying, like when you meet someone,
Yeah.
you were. I interrupted you with something that I thought was funny, but
It was funny.
It was great. You did great.
thank you. Thank you.
Well,
But I want to know that because, like, if you're studying this and they're 64 and you're kind of like always on it, just like Tracy with the Enneagram,
Just like Tom. When,
like
he sensed people.
like all of these
You feel
people
like,
that know this stuff. I want to be like, what is it? Like,
what
is
did
it
I-
me? Like,
what did
what?
I
Like,
do?
what
Can
is
you
it?
pick up
Yeah.
on people when you meet them, or
if I want to, yeah, usually.
How do you turn that off? Like not wanting to. Like does it just feel like I think
I'm not gonna.
You
You can reserve it. You can
Okay.
be more reserved
Alright.
about it. Yeah.
what are your
All right.
3? So you have is it a word for each one? Like your
Yeah.
shadow, your
So there's several different keys. So it just would depend on which one you were talking about. So I already
Okay.
told you my purpose is revolution.
Yeah.
That's my gift, is my revolution.
Okay.
And so the shadow of that is reaction. It makes me like very reactive and like go too quickly and make mistakes without like being integrated in those things, and speak quickly without like thinking too much about what I say.
I wouldn't have guessed that. Like, honestly.
No, I'm thinking she's just describing me.
A little more impulsive
maybe
or
it's
yeah.
your purpose gene key too. You
I
never
would
know.
have to say that it absolutely is.
right.
Maybe. I mean,
And
a
you're
lot of
pretty
people have them.
revolutionary too.
And I react awfully sometimes to certain things with my words.
Well, I mean, ultimately, we all have all the archetypes in our DNA. So, yeah, for sure. It's definitely a part of who you are.
So okay, so we come into this world, passing all these planets, boom, 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 zoom. We got all this, and you tell me that your life flipped, right? You changed your
I
direction.
hop
and
dimensions.
You hop dimensions, right? You're like, oh, I took a wrong turn here. I had to go around a cloud or a planet or something like that. Is that normal, or like, are you feel like maybe? I mean, maybe we're all on the wrong path too, right?
No.
Like,
No, you're not.
no.
I wouldn't ever say that. I don't say anything is like,
Maybe not the
there's
wrong.
a
I
normal.
wouldn't say wrong path. Yeah, like we've all enjoyed doing this. I think we'd all want to do this for sit around
And then that's
and
what you should do.
and talk to
Yeah.
people that are fascinating that I would have
Right.
never met in my normal life.
Right.
And
That's
this
what
is
you should
very
do.
interesting.
So you're living out exactly what you want to do. And so what I want to do is just a little weird and eccentric.
I like
I
it.
wouldn't say weird.
Not
It's
at
very
all.
the one thing that I've learned probably over the last year is the difference between religion and spirituality. And I think I turned off religion like very much so when we had kids and I was like dragging them to church and
Yes.
we were just suffering through 60 minutes and couldn't wait to get over and go to breakfast. And I'm like, why are we doing this? And so I'm like, no church for me for the last probably 15, 20 years. Sorry, mom and dad and Julie's mom and dad.
And my mom and dad and,
Yeah.
and my sister.
But
and-
gave up on
now
me years
I'm
ago.
getting into spirituality, which I am all in on. And I don't, it's not a bunch of like rules or whatever. You can do this, you can't do this or whatever. It's just like there's something much bigger going on than any of us can fathom. And I'm so fascinated by it. That's exactly why I wanted to have you on the podcast right now, because I feel like you're like doing the work to like get into that and like actually research it rather than just think about it when I hear a podcast like I am.
Yeah. No, it's a devotional life path for me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like how I live. It's like I wake up in the morning, it's what I do. And I feel like the thing that really like hits home for me is a lot of people don't realize that the parts of religion that they love are the rituals. And when you stop telling somebody when you stop allowing someone to tell you what rituals you need to be doing and you create your own, then you start to really open up to new levels of spirituality. So your own personal rituals.
That you end up having to do it for 3 hours in the morning.
No, that's a choice. I enjoy it, and it's not all. I call it my ritual, but I have like personal projects that I'm working on. I'm creating like a huge book, and that's a lot of study and a lot of art and a lot of just like conceptualizing and playing and.
So what's the idea?
you're-
Sorry, go
Yeah, I
ahead.
think we were going to ask the same thing. So go ahead.
No, I don't know if we were.
Probably not.
All right, you ask yours.
Well, maybe, but the flip, does it, like, is there a God? When you flip this thing, Is there a celestial being up there, and was his son in Jerusalem and all that other stuff?
Oh wow, okay. That's
We're getting into it.
question.
Let's go.
Yeah,
Not what I was
going to
ask.
I think it's beautiful. I think that that's definitely like a belief that a lot of people resonate with. I could never like claim to know ultimately what's the truth. I would say to me, it's like you're in it right now. God is what life is. God is like the human experience, and everyone wants to talk about God being all knowing. Well, we're the data. Like God isn't knowing anything without us. And I mean, not to sound extremely blasphemous, but would there be a God if we weren't here to perceive it?
Ooh.
Yeah. Okay. So then what happens when you die?
So, I mean, I've had like my own like philosophy on that. No, I don't think anyone could really know. I think that there are the way that we kind of evolve, like dimensionally, if we want to talk about, we're in like, when you think about dense 3D reality, that we live in the material plane and everything's heavy and we have gravity. And then as you start to kind of transcend, gravity becomes less and less. And I would say that it's a little more like dissolving slowly into different dimensions until it becomes pure light. And that's why I think a lot of people, when they see a being, it looks like pure light at first.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say is light is energy, and light is what creates in like on a microcosmic level, as far as like, we're not talking about the ultimate reality of things, but when you think about our sun in the sky, like nothing would be alive if that sun wasn't shining every day.
Yeah.
It's like kind of like a metaphor for that.
Well, I think a lot of the, because I'm a former Catholic too, more spiritual than I've ever been once I left there, which is interesting, right? To my mom's dismay, she's in church twice a week, but that's what makes you happy. That's what do it. Then you do that, and I'm a full supporter of that. But I think some of that Greek mythology that used to be out there kind of got its way tailored into some of these books that are from back in the day, and I think my perception is they didn't know what to call that thing in the thing that makes everything live. Yeah. So I almost kind of believe like that was the god. I think they even named it like. It was like Horcrux or something like that. Was like the god Horus or something like that. It was like I almost think those stories about that thing that showed up every day that made everything live.
Yeah.
Like I almost believe that that's what it is.
Well, I mean, when you go back, like pre-worshiping a sun god in general, there was a very more balanced way of living in harmony with the earth. And so like the sun god as an idea and concept didn't even come into play until there was like a complete I would say this, and they're not even religions. The way that we used to worship tribally before we became civilizations was very earth, nature, mother-based. Yes. And so when things started coming through with a sword and conquering everything, we became a more like God is a man, we worship the sun. This is how worship is supposed to be done. If you don't worship like this, you're going to die. And so that's a thing.
I think,
and I think that the one thing that I think is kind of hilarious, but like I, for whatever, 47 of my 48 years, always considered people that lived before us, it's like, it's so sad for them. They didn't have all the knowledge that we have now. They didn't know anything. It's so cute that they thought this, they thought that. And now the more you read and the more you learn about it, they were so much more in tune with what this life experience is all about than all of us who are on phones and on our computers and just like getting through 82 years of life and then dying. Like they were so much more in tune with like the planets and the, the stars and nature. And I feel like things are starting to come back to that a little bit.
Yeah, and I think that that's my whole mission in my life is how do we take this modern lifestyle and create a more like symbiotic way of being in community, and because we've lost the ability to really be intimate with each other. And when you think about tribes and things like that, like everything was intimate. Like nobody was embarrassed to dance in front of each other. Nobody was embarrassed to sing in front of each other. Nobody was embarrassed to pray for each other. And there's a lot of that I think that we're missing at a soul level because it was stolen by these religious organizations. And so it's taken, the vulnerability away and made it this scary thing when it used to be this beautiful healing thing. That's one of my workshops actually that I'm researching right now.
Tell me about because I just saw on Instagram this morning you were on a retreat this weekend with some women, and it just looked amazing. I'm like, can dudes come too? Because it looked awesome. Tell us. I know
Dudes got to do their own shit, y'all. You got to figure your own
I just
shit.
want someone to take me camping. I don't know how to camp.
Yeah.
I don't know how to make a fire.
Judd will take you.
Her husband Judd. He's a man's man. He's like in the Rick Chafee kind of, like he's just seems just like he could just like break us with one hand. Yeah. But anyways, tell us about that weekend.
Well, this is something that I have been really trying to get going, and I think this was the first real weekend where, I mean, I've gone on a lot of backpacking trips with a lot of women, and this is the first one where I'm like, I'm organizing this. I'm taking people out who normally wouldn't go so that they can have the experience. I've got, we backpack as a family, so I've got all the gear. Whoever wants to go, here's the gear, just come with, let's go have an experience in nature. And of course, I'm like a big ceremonialist, so it's very intentional. It was like centered around the full moon in Virgo, and so we had all these intentions that we were setting, very powerful stuff. We have a lot of offerings, rituals, songs. I'll play my drum and play. It's like a whole thing. But yeah, we were out this past week when we went into Aravipa Canyon's wilderness area, one of the most pristine wilderness areas in Arizona, I feel, and
Where is it?
sacred place. It's south of Winkleman.
Where's Winkleman?
You got to go to Superior.
Yeah.
Superior.
Up
then
to 60,
south.
up to 60, and then
Your
south.
way to Winkleman, and then go south, like between like north of Mount Lemon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Spend the night out there.
Oh yeah.
One night, 2 nights?
Just one this time. I would have preferred two, but this was the first time, so we give them one night.
What do you eat when you're out there?
I mean, you can eat a lot of dehydrated food, like backpackers food. You can get meals. I like to take smoked salmon and things like that. Or I took, let's see, I don't know, coffee.
Have you ever thought of
Don't you
bringing?
eat coffee
Good
for
start.
real?
Yeah.
Could bring a Sombreros Fiesta platter.
I have to tell you, I
$5
was
off.
talking to somebody actually on this backpacking trip who confessed to me that the Sombreros has the best bean and cheese burrito, and she's a connoisseur.
That's
Wow.
the ultimate
Solid.
compliment.
I know.
Wow.
I was
Bean
like,
and
I'll
cheese
have to tell
bro
him.
is simple but hard to do.
It's hard to do. Yeah.
But yeah, I was like in the videos. There's like waterfalls. They're like swimming
saw it,
in
yeah.
streams, and it looked incredible.
Yeah, you got a new follower today. South Chicago Chef followed you this morning.
Yes.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
too.
Yeah. I almost started, like, I had some aggression this morning. I watched the video of her getting it out, and it
dance.
helped me.
Yeah.
I was like, there, she just did it. I don't have to do it. I'm ready to work.
I'm glad I could transfer that.
That's it. You
That's
did.
why I posted.
You
That's
did.
why I posted it.
You did. I ain't bullshitting either.
There we go. It served its purpose.
There it is.
Thank you.
You help one person.
Where is all this going? Like, do you have are you just riding the wave and seeing where it's going, or do you have a mission that you're trying to accomplish, like an end goal, or?
Mainly my purpose is for women to have a community that they don't have to pay to have friends in. And I found that I wanted to like participate in a lot of things, and it was not accessible for a lot of people. And I just thought, I want to do these things, first of all. I would do them regardless, but I'm a ceremonialist. And if anyone wants to have ceremony, that's basically what it is. It's like, here you all, if you want to know, I'm doing this on the full moon, who's in? And that's kind of how it started. And so people would show up, and then it turned into, okay, everybody needs to bring an offering. And so people will bring the coolest offerings. They'll share a skill and teach people how to do something, or they'll like make something that their grandma used to make and share it. You know, it's just like a really beautiful exchange.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's so cool. And I want it to feel like anybody can be a part of this and just feel really, really included and be able to have these types of ceremonies. You know, it's not an everyday thing where you sit in a ceremony with people around a fire and share vulnerable things and give offerings and say prayers and, you know, do things like that. And so
This
amazing.
started. This was our ceremony.
Yeah.
This was
Yeah.
our way we started.
Yeah.
We used
Absolutely.
to have lunch together, and now
Yeah.
we're.
And
sitting
then
around with
Tim's
Mike-
like, we should just talk into the microphone while we have lunch.
Take a microphone,
Exactly.
and we'll get really cool people to come talk to us
Yeah.
and make us better people.
And
That's
it's a
exactly
ceremony
how
I
it
look
is.
forward to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Every couple weeks I look forward to it. And then, this little table is kind
Yeah.
of our campfire.
Yes, exactly. So speaking of fires and the earth, the thing I thought was really interesting was the sustainability and like growing food and living. The idea of living off the grid, right?
Yeah.
But within
As much as you can.
we're in the grid. Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, how's that? You had property, kind of share some of that stuff. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, so cool story with that. So we do live on a little bit of property. It's not a lot, it's just over an acre. But I had this vision. Even the house, I drew it from hand and took it from my imagination. And so the whole thing is kind of its own creative project, is my house. And
Is it a yurt? You don't live in a yurt, do
I
you?
wish. It is not a yurt.
All right.
A 4 and 2 yurt,
Going on there.
My
Yurt
neighbors
vibe.
would not be happy if my house was
a 6 and 3 yurt.
here. One day, I hope so.
yeah.
I hope so. That would be really awesome. So it's the vision, right? I have this vision for this property, and it didn't all come at once. It's kind of it's revealed in layers, and it reveals itself as I kind of stay consistent. I notice when I'm not as consistent, like keeping my devotional, staying focused with whatever my creative work is, then I'll like lose the mission, you know, and get distracted and go off and learn lessons other places. But
And then the plants die. Because that's my
Well,
I lose my
yeah.
vision and I forget to water and then I lose
You focus on something.
Yeah,
Squirrel.
I lose the basil and
Yes.
then I don't have the basil.
Yeah. You gotta
It's gotta stay focused.
Well, I think that's another reason why I like even created a sigil around focus, because I was like, I'm gonna have this in front of me and
A
use
what?
A sigil,
What's that?
like runes. You don't make runes.
No.
What?
Nobody
No.
here makes
I will let you know if you
Make
can
ruins?
describe it.
RUNES.
Runes.
Ruins.
RUNE.
Oh,
Runes.
please! You know you have some Viking ancestors. Your Viking ancestors.
Oh, she was
Tom,
listening.
yeah.
Tom did say I was a warrior in my past lives.
Yeah,
Mostly.
I'm surprised. Yeah.
He also told Brian he should listen to me more,
Yeah.
Yep.
and that's real.
That's not going well.
Second in command, sir.
Runes.
Give an example.
No,
of a
wait, you got us all
rune.
stumped.
Yes.
What is it?
Yes.
Okay, so a rune. I'm sure you've seen runes. These are like the Viking alphabet, like Scandinavian things or whatever. But you can make your own runes, and they're very they're from your mind. They're intentional signs or symbols that you create that have meaning. That, you know, for me, they have a certain type of energy and reminder kind of aspect to them that when I see them, I remember.
Okay.
Got it.
All right.
And so I create a lot of things like that. In fact, the majority of the art I do is so that I don't forget something.
And it could be carved out of a piece of wood, written on a piece of paper.
Yeah, I just
Sculpted.
have this one written on a note card. But you can do them you can draw them in the air too.
So like my Post-it note on my steering wheel that says "dry cleaning" is like a rune.
But you just have to shorthand it.
Oh,
Turn it
okay.
into a symbol.
All right.
So that
Yeah,
is how it
connect the
works.
D and C or
Yes,
something.
Yeah.
it is. That's exactly how. Who's the guy that does all the comics? Grant. I can't remember his name. He's this eccentric, crazy guy that writes for draws for Marvel, and he was the one talking about runes, and that's where I learned about
really?
runes. And that's all you do is you take a word or a small phrase. So you would take out all the unnecessary words, you know, just like
Right.
shorthand, and then you would take the first letter of each word after that. And then you would form them together to make a very unique symbol.
Oh,
And then
got it.
Yep.
Acronym art.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
It is acronym art.
There it is.
But then you
renamed it.
have to draw a circle around
say
it to
ruins.
seal it.
So then it's like a seal.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it's all intentional, magical stuff. Now you're all warlocks.
Yeah.
Yes.
Get out of my way, Tim.
I know.
I dub thee. You're
Thank
all
you.
Okay.
Ceremony.
But you were saying you create these things,
Perfect.
and you were talking about the garden.
Oh,
Sorry.
yeah. So to stay focused,
Yes.
right? So
Yeah.
need
I
to
just
obviously
created my
do
own rune.
right
Yes.
now.
Yeah.
No, so I have this image in my mind. I just did a video about this on my Instagram, actually. It's like me as an old woman. And so I have the whole scene So right now I'm doing everything in order to make that scene possible.
Okay.
And that's what I'm doing. So every day, that's my mission.
That is awesome. Like you just have rather than writing like your 20 goals for 2024 or whatever, you have this vision in your head of what you want to be like
That's how I manifest everything.
That's awesome.
Tell us something like normal though, real quick. Like, do you get Starbucks or
Do you drive a car?
are you like, I'll drive through, I'll be home in 30 minutes? Like,
Oh, hell yeah.
That's a great question. Tell us something.
I just want to feel a little bit better about myself for 5 seconds.
I don't know. Something normal.
Like, what's your Starbucks order?
My daughter's a barista. She makes my coffee for me. I usually like a nitro cold brew.
Okay.
She farms her own coffee, roasted in the backyard, and then
Like I thought you were gonna say that one lemur that shits it out, like you eat that coffee or something.
I do. I make my own coffee at home, but she will
Dance
bring
it.
she does have. I've seen her drive. She has a normal car.
Yeah.
I drive it. No, she's not normal.
Well, no, it's a badass
It's
vehicle.
badass.
What is
car.
it?
She's a Toyota 4Runner named Kali, the goddess. Yeah, she's the dark goddess. She's a gnarly off-road beast. Just
right.
took her out this weekend.
Pretty awesome.
We've now have 2 guests that name their vehicles. Like, I think
Yes.
Everyone
We're on a roll.
should name your
Yes.
vehicle.
Ironically, a guy named Cosmo named his vehicle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was his?
He was in tune.
Yeah.
What was his?
How's that
car's
ironic?
name? I know you said.
What
Cosmo.
was it?
I don't know. I was about to name my car.
Falcor.
Falcor.
That's a
Falcor.
great name.
Right?
Yeah.
That's
Absolutely.
a great name.
Actually, my car has a name. It's the Glitchy Bitch because it never works like it's supposed to.
Oh,
so.
and she's gonna keep. She's gonna keep.
'Cause
like,
I'm
slapping
manifesting
back.
that.
Yeah. You call her.
Stop
glitchy
putting
bitch. She's
post-it
gonna
notes
show
on
you
its
all about
steering
it.
wheel.
She's now goddess.
Goddess.
But you should also listen to Cosmo's episode. He in his Toyota Prius, which is Falcor, he lived out of it. He built drawers in the back and a bed in the back, and went to all of the 48 contiguous states for a minimum of.
Is this the guy that got in the ocean?
Yeah.
Yes.
Swam
Okay.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he went for a minimum of 7 days in each state. Was it 7
I think
days?
so. Yeah.
Something
and
like.
can't sleep in the same city
There were so many
back-to-back
rules.
nights.
There were so many.
So he had to
so many
list
rules.
like this. The writing was this big for rule 1 on the thing, and the entire sheet was full of all of the rules and stuff.
And I think
that he
those were
laid out
kind of
for
his
himself.
rituals too.
Yes,
wasn't it?
yes, he had rituals.
Yeah.
Yep.
I feel like I have that in my mind. I haven't written it
gotta-
down, but I have a lot of things that I'm like,
Roll the decks of going.
these are the things I'm doing, and I just think that I wanted everything in my life to be intentional and playful and ritualistic. You know, I don't waste a lot of time on like I don't like to watch TV, and I don't, you know, stuff like that.
That's
like
just passing time.
No,
not-
and I don't like to have conversations that aren't like inspiring. So I'm kind of bitchy. Like,
Pick it up, guys.
Sorry.
No,
Well, looks like we're done here.
fired.
Yeah, my next 3 questions are like, well, I guess I shouldn't ask those then.
No. Okay, I like to have conversations that are playful. I can say
this
that
could be playful.
don't drain you. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
More people
That's
in your
what
life
I'm
that
saying.
drain you.
Well, like, all right. So here's a playful one. I cook. I mentioned that in the preview here. What's a normal dinner on a Wednesday night for the Rich family?
Oh shit. Well, my diet is very interesting, and I usually
Go figure.
Here it goes. Here it goes.
we like meat, obviously.
Let's go.
We're hunters.
Yeah.
And so it could be anything from an animal of that kind. We do like organ meats too. So sometimes, like, my favorite is heart. So if we'll have, like, that's my favorite.
Heart what?
Heart of
Stew?
Roast. No, I'll just make a roast and we'll eat it like a
Roasted heart.
Yeah, I like roasted.
Where do you get these
What
hearts
aisle
from?
is that in?
From the woods.
There's a lot of hikers that are missing around Santana Valley right now.
We went with 12, came home with 9.
Oh, this is getting better.
You
Love it.
go up into the woods with your weapons and you bring it home.
Very
Is that
that
what?
for real?
Seriously?
Yeah.
Yes.
Like what animals?
Elk?
Yeah. Elk.
okay.
Yeah.
Who
or
kills
deer.
them?
My husband and my boys both hunt. And so we as a family process the whole animal ourselves. So even
Jesus
we've
Christ.
processed 2 elk ourselves. You'll come to our house and you'll have a huge leg of elk sitting on a table.
Hey, by the way, this was a normal question. What's for dinner Wednesday night? Now I'm in the White Mountains going like, am I doing it right, Mr. Rich? Oh, God.
You you could open a freezer. Don't open a freezer in our house. Actually, don't open. Don't.
Oh
open
God!
Please tell me what's in the freezer now.
A head.
What's in the box?
A head of what? Yeah, what's in the box?
Exactly.
Yeah, like Brad Pitt.
Something like, well, that's not
All
there. We
right.
collect a lot of dead things, but also, you'll probably find a skull or a head that's getting ready to be processed.
Well, how do you process a head?
Some head cheese.
We make our own head mounts. So my husband does European head mounts with the deer.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does.
So he just did one this weekend, actually. So,
Wow.
All right.
yeah. So deer.
Okay. All right.
Are your kids like? You guys want to see a head? We got another one.
No, they're so disenchanted. No.
No, that's
No,
normal
no,
stuff.
No, normal.
It is funny that started as okay. I have a playful question. and
Yeah,
ended
what's
with
for dinner?
Her eating
Yeah.
still beating heart.
Yeah, I thought it was gonna be like, no, I stop at fries, I get the
Good.
ribeye.
It's the best part of that.
How do you? Okay, so do you
ceremony.
oven roast a heart?
I just roast it in a crock pot.
Roast it in a crock pot. Does it shred?
Yeah.
And
like
what kind of seasonings?
I just do salt.
I think I saw that on Valerie Bertinelli. It was a crock pot heart.
On the Food
some
Network
time,
show? Yeah.
some time.
I think there's a
and
setting on my air fryer for that. Right?
Yeah, heart. What's on the side with that? A little potato and
I
a
love
salad?
making. My kids love when I make mashed potatoes. That's like their favorite is mashed
Do you
potatoes.
grow your own potatoes?
Not yet.
Not yet, but
Well,
you want
Is,
to though.
is it in the vision?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, 100%. There's a lot of things like that in the vision. It's a process though.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
like a whole thing. But I don't know. We do theme nights too for fun because we started doing like craft nights as a family, and we'll do we'll do Mediterranean food or Thai food or something to explore, try something new. My husband and I just started taking cooking classes, and I cooked French for the very first time.
All right.
This last
All
week.
right.
It was so good. Coq au vin.
Oh,
It was so good. And
was it
then-
a heart?
No, I wish.
Because you could do it. You could do a heart.
Drumsticks, but I could do a heart.
Yeah.
I should.
Braised in wine.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'll try that next time. Didn't even cross my mind.
So your family, I mean, I feel like you're maybe the leader of this, but your family is all on this journey together. And you have teenagers, right? Or is 20 your
I have
youngest?
21. Is
So
my
are
oldest.
they like along for the journey, or are they like, Mom, Dad, what are you guys doing? Or like, what's
Oh
the
no, they we have a good time.
That's so cool.
Yeah, we have a good time, and they know they're like welcome to join and welcome to not join. I mean, it's not like I don't know what. To me, I feel like our home life is beautiful, but they're teenagers. I'm sure they don't agree all the time.
Yeah.
So,
They wouldn't agree with
Sure.
anything.
Did they have sleepovers? Did people come to your house?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I mean,
Yeah.
you seem very inviting, but you mentioned if I open the fridge, I'd like go in for
Might
a
see a
Coors
leg.
Light.
Yeah,
There's a hen, okay.
and that's
Okay.
that's like the point. Like
Yeah.
the whole point is like, how can we make this whole space like super inviting and fun, where people come over and they're like feel like they're so welcome to hang out and have a good time with us. And so that's kind
You
of
already mentioned it. You've eliminated the embarrassment and the things you're told you're supposed to do, right? And all
Right.
that stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, you seem like within a couple of minutes you'd be walking in like, yeah, I didn't feel like I was going to be judged, but I definitely like a different aura about her, right?
Yeah, for
like
sure.
Cosmo walked
Yeah.
in, he had a different aura.
Yes.
Like when Tom walked in and
Yeah.
the things that he started talking about, and it's like all the spiritual stuff you guys are talking about.
Well, yeah, I wanted to ask about that stuff, like, because the tarot is interesting to me. Like, I went to college in New Orleans, so if you go to downtown in New Orleans, there's a lot of people, that sit out and they do tarot card readings. But there was always one. Whenever we were there was like 15 people always waiting for this one. And so then I was like, either that person has a great reputation or they did something or whatever. But then you had other ones that would just be sitting there and they didn't have any customers. So I was wondering, it was like, what is that like? Did you learn that after the flip, or did you already have that, or what was that? Or what is that, I should say?
so funny you should bring that up. I brought my deck with me. I could give you a reading if you want.
Let's fucking go, baby. I'm in.
Yes.
I'm in. But Tom also did a reading for me, so I want these guys to have
Oh my
right of
gosh.
first refusal.
He did a tarot reading?
No, not a tarot. He did my.
Astrology.
He did
Oh,
my.
okay. Yeah, it's a
Astrology.
different
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, he
Let's
talked.
do it. You
yeah.
got them.
Yeah. So just like as a preface, I don't call myself a tarot reader. Like I do. I have we had a huge neighborhood block party, and I set up this really cool gypsy tent, and I got my deck out, and I had like a bottle and a half of wine, and I read tarot cards for like 7 hours straight.
A bottle and a half, huh?
Yes.
I was there for 7 hours.
Yeah. How risque were these readings? Did these readings get really good?
Yeah, totally. So I wouldn't say that I'm a professional, but I'm not embarrassed to fumble through it. So I'm down to get
All right.
to it.
Who's going?
Am I?
Do Brian.
I'm closer here. I'll go in. Yeah.
So for the cards,
Oops, sorry. I don't.
and I don't, I think that, not that I know a ton about reading cards, but everybody who reads cards is going to read them in their own way. It's like being a storyteller. And so the cards come out, and I'm just going to kind of give you a general consensus of what they say. It's not like a
All right.
fortune telling or anything. It's a divination tool. So
Is it-
you'll set,
All right.
yeah, you'll just set whatever your intention is. If you have one, you can say it out loud or not, doesn't matter.
What my intention is for
Yeah.
for.
Why do you want to have
this?
what are your intentions?
Oh well, it was sprung on me. So here, let me see.
It could be to just have your cards read,
Yeah, I
right?
just wanted. Okay.
You want to know what the cards have to say?
I just
Okay.
my curiosity. You've opened up my curiosity.
All right. So first card
Okay.
we're pulling here is the Chariot. It's a water card, a Cancer card, so it's kind of emotional, and it's talking about overcoming obstacles or ambition or anything that you might be working on, to where when you look at the Chariot, you think you're kind of moving towards something with intention.
Okay.
So thinking about whatever it is that you're moving towards. And it's a yes card. So it's saying you're moving towards something that's kind of drawing you in. You're kind of marching towards it. And it's like, looks like an inevitable thing that's coming your way.
Inevitable. All right.
Inevitable thing.
When I met with Tom, he told me to say yes to new things, to
Yes.
new opportunities, and
Well,
that
look at that.
that this year that I would be growing in my.
Yes, I've seen it actually.
This is the reinforcement of
We
Tom's
do.
reading.
We have a reinforcement with it, which is a 3 of Cups. This one was reversed, so that means it was facing reverse of me when I drew it. That's just how I pull. Another Cancer card, which is another like emotional card whenever you think about Cancer, and Mercury card having to do with communication. So this is obviously some drinks with friends, if you can see that. Thinking about
familiar.
celebrations.
Yes.
And
Yes.
honestly, this is really interesting because you have 3 of you here. And it's talking about being careful of being bitchy.
Well, nailed it. Just kidding.
Basically. So
That's good.
making sure that you are out in your social life and doing it carefully and not overindulging in that. So,
Excellent.
look at all this.
Excellent.
So,
I've had a lot of social time lately, and I've held back a little bit more in that regards, being bitchy,
good job.
judging. Yeah. Okay.
It's your job though to judge.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I usually will pull a third so we can tie it because I like doing
Okay.
it in 3s.
All right. The Cancer, you're saying the Cancer card, is that the fact that they were both Cancer related? Is that is it
Well-
showing you more like this is really intense? My
Well, Cancers,
feelings.
yes, Cancers are very like emotional, intense, and they kind of like whenever you think of the crab in its shell, sometimes it like holds its emotions in a lot, and it doesn't, it has kind of a hard shell but a soft inside. So it's just having that theme.
Okay.
But then you have your Leo card, which is a sun card, and this one's with Saturn. And so Saturn is like a very masculine energy. This is your 5 of Wands, and it's basically saying, okay, we're tying this story up, compromising with something. So making sure that anything that you feel like you're not reaching agreements in, you start to look into compromising into that.
Oh,
Okay.
So you're moving
Okay.
towards something,
Okay.
has to do with friends,
Yeah.
and you're going to have to compromise.
Well, you mentioned your when you first started saying like you're sharing your journey with people, but you don't feel like you're pushing your agenda on people. That's how I
Right.
kind of took it, right?
Right,
And
yeah.
that's me to a T. Like I'm comfortable with who I am, and I talk about what I want to talk about, or do what I like to do, but I don't try to push it on people. I've never been one to
Right.
tell people what to do. So
right.
Yeah.
it's all right. So
Yeah.
okay,
There you go.
Okay, there you go.
We should have brought her a
My
bottle
cards.
of wine. We
No,
get
you
it.
should.
Oh, yeah. It gets really good when I
Man,
follow one.
and a piece of heart.
We could have had 7 more hours.
It's
Piece
true.
of heart.
I could read cards for
some
7
nibbles.
hours. I'm just trying to learn about them.
That's cool. That's cool. Okay.
Is there any aspect of the sustainability piece that is like, I don't know another way to say it, but like a doomsday prep type thing? Like, are you preparing your home in case you just have to live on it? Or does that not have anything to do with where you're going with it?
No, it's not a fear-based one. It's a revolutionary act.
Okay.
All right.
So that's
That's a great way to put
Most
it.
likely to live if there was an apocalypse on this room. 1, 2, 3, not it. Not it. Christina.
Oh, no, I'm whatever it is. I'm getting soaked by it. Yeah. No, I don't. And I don't know if I want to be left over from whatever that is.
But at least if there was a draft, they're gonna pick you to you can come in and
I could cook the shit that they've got
Yeah.
buried in
Right?
their yard. Yeah, I could do that.
What do you say we do?
I don't bring a lot to the table. No.
Lift things.
Can organize people, but why would they listen to me at that point?
Yeah.
That's all. That's one of my things. Is like, he's coming back, right? And I'm like, when? They're just.
coming?
In the religion, that some religions think,
Okay.
he's coming back. Like they say, it's so matter of factly, and I'm like, and when is this?
Yeah.
And what does this look like?
and-
Will everyone know?
Are
Yeah.
we worried about him, or are we worried about like bombs? And
No,
stuff?
I mean, I think it's probably all of the above, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
certain religions believe, like, no,
Yeah.
he's coming back, and I'm like, okay,
I mean, it could be metaphorical too.
yeah, is it some type of?
Well, I mean, if you want to go back to Tom's episode on the Aquarian Age, I'm sure he would have something to say about that.
Yeah.
When you enter the Aquarian Age, it's kind of also known as the age of Christ consciousness returning to the earth, is how I like to think of it. Because I don't think even, let's say Jesus was a man that we all worship now. If he was truly an enlightened being, he would not want to be worshipped.
That's very true.
He wouldn't. Yeah.
No,
I don't know
like
how accepting we would be, we as a society right now.
Yeah.
Well,
It would
look
be
what happened to
polarizing.
him.
Enlightened being.
Look what happened to him.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he'd get banned
Same
from
thing would
TikTok and be on
happen now.
Fent.
Yeah, they didn't even have the internet.
Oh yeah.
That was just word of mouth.
What would you say, like I was saying, like I'm super intrigued in this whole thing. Like if somebody out there or me wants to learn more about just spirituality, like I don't know how to do it or where to go. Like, how do you do it?
Ooh, this is a really juicy question. I like it. Here's what you do. You watch for the clues. There's always clues. And your clues are like, if we're thinking about this like a program, okay, we talked about you coming in here and living Tim's own program. There's going to be little drops, just like there are in any programming game that you've ever played, not to make this completely rudimentary, but we are always kind of watching for that little treasure chest or wherever it is. It's just, are we able to pay attention to when those things come in? And so all of the things that have kind of intrigued me, that I call them pings. Like I'll have a ping and I feel like the little antennas come up like, wow, I feel really curious about that. And then I go into that. And then I'm of the personality where I get what I need out of it and then I move on. I don't subscribe to anything, but I like all of it.
It's good.
All right.
That helps.
The pings.
What-
You've
yeah,
had
what-
pings in your life.
Everybody.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
for
right?
sure. There's no doubt about it. But I didn't.
You're in tune with
Yeah, but I don't know. But it's like sometimes you're just like, is this just the greatest coincidence of all time, or was that meant to happen, or like what?
Whatever
I know
you
her
want.
answer.
Yeah.
I know her answer.
Yeah,
Whatever you
I think
want.
the answer is no. Like, yeah.
Going through a ping right now, right? I've had pings in between my JJ's health and
Yeah.
father passing away. And
Yeah.
I think those are those
Yeah.
moments.
Yeah.
Those are bigger ones, right? I mean,
Absolutely, those are
kind of
huge.
the obvious.
Those are like
Yeah.
archetypal, big deal, big deal hero's journey type of. Everybody in our lives, and I was teaching about this today. Actually, we're all going through our own archetypal journey, our own individual experience, and all of these different types of transitions in the journey are similar, but in a different way. So we'll all experience similar things, but just in our own journeys.
That's, I think mine, when my, like I call it my weirdness, but when mine started was a year ago when we went to those pyramids in Mexico City.
Oh, that'll do it.
And I was like,
ruins. Those are
They were
Ruins.
ruins. Yeah.
Ruins, right?
I'm
Those
like,
are real.
wait, we're like, this is
Yeah.
more than just about us, and we're doing it wrong. And like, it was just like, it kind of like flattened me, where I was just like weird for a while, and I'm just like, what is happening? Like it, and now it was that turning point, and I remember the exact day where I just couldn't stop thinking about it, and that's like, and now I find things more in nature, like then, but I just don't know like what to do with it. Like but I guess I just pay more attention to it and see where it takes me.
I mean, I can tell you what I would do with it. I would definitely meditate on that. I mean, like I said, with the visual imagery, you go into that and see what comes through. Mm-hmm. I mean, it is a very interesting thing. How did those things get there? Who built them? How were they able to do it so precise with the tools that they have?
Yeah. How do you meditate though? Like I tried to, couple people that I listened to on the radio back in the day did transcendental meditation.
Yeah.
Try to find something online about that, and you cannot.
It's
like
that?
TM. I don't know what it is. That's what I'm saying. Is like if you Google it, there's like very, very brief overviews of what it is, and there's an actual website that you have to subscribe to in order to get like the real teachings of what it is. Howard Stern does it.
Yeah.
I used to listen to him in the 90s when I moved here, driving to school. And he said it basically saved his life. So I became curious about it in the early 2000s, like, what is this? And you just can't really find much about it.
Yeah, it's another system. And so it just depends on if it's like an effective system for you. And a lot of people find it to be an effective system of like a way to meditate. There's a lot of systems of meditation, and that's just one of them. So you would either just have to go to like a workshop of some kind, because normally to describe it would probably be really difficult, but you'd have to go, and I'm sure I've looked into it a little bit. My meditation is what I create, and so I don't like systems. I'm kind of an anti-system person, so if somebody tells me this is how you do something, I automatically don't subscribe
That
to
fits.
that.
Yeah. What is a typical meditation look like in the 3 hours? Is it 10 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour?
However long I feel like I want it to be. I like to feel like I don't need to waste time. And if it's like that's the whole part of like some of these meditations is you just go through this time of like, I have to do this many minutes of breathing. I have to do this many minutes of, and I'm just like, I don't have the attention span for this, so it's not going to be effective for me. So it's not my style. Mine can be 30 seconds. I believe that if I want an answer for something, I can close my eyes and get into my nervous system and get it instantly.
How do you tap that? Like what? Like
Practice.
Okay. And is it like obviously the rudimentary part of myself is like, is it a dark room and you're like sitting on a like, or is it just like you're in the kitchen and you just like go breathe for a minute and then go, okay, that's what I'm doing. Like, how does it?
Some of my best downloads are doing the dishes, honestly. When you're doing like a really basic task, you'll have like a really huge idea. So long as you're not like distracted in so many things. If you're just in the task, and then you'll usually have a download. Like my mentor will say, she calls her shower the God box. Every time she goes into it, she has like a revelatory experience. And you start like, how I've created my life is I know whatever, we can associate ourselves with any kind of belief that we want, and it will be true. So if you believe that meditation is a big to-do and it's going to be hard and it's going to take you all of this time to have an effective meditation, it will. I don't believe that. So I don't even think like that.
Mine's in the car. When I drive, I've never had a word for it, but that's
right.
When I drive, especially like I'm out on the, I just drove, whatever.
Yeah.
Your Volvo is your God box?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I curse him or her. I haven't decided.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yes. But, and I think, talking to things, I sing. A lot of singing.
Yeah?
A lot of
That's
rehearsing.
beautiful.
Really?
That's beautiful.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, loud. Like the voice
So do
gets a
I.
little rough after a
What?
while.
Let's hit up a
Good for
karaoke
you.
bar after this.
Turn
I
that
want to
thing
hear
up.
it.
Can I just
do a
note
playlist.
here? I just want to bring attention to the fact that this is so amazing because more men need to release energy this way.
All right.
So
Well,
if
good.
men could release energy through song and dance, we wouldn't have so many assholes walking around.
Ooh.
Damn, just song and dance though? What about
Yeah.
anything in addition to that?
Song
Like,
and- I mean,
You
can
want it
start
to be
there.
sex?
Art.
no. That actually, I wasn't even thinking of that, but thank you. You know-
Song, dance, and...
no, I'm like, is there
I'm
something
talking
else
about
that
when
isn't?
you're alone and nobody's watching and your
Absolutely.
intention is I've got like I've had a stressful day at work. I've had whatever. I'm going to let it out, let energy out through some type of physical means. And some people, it's like exercise. We have a punching bag in our garage. Like maybe it doesn't matter what it is, but it's a way that physical energy is not staying trapped in your body. So then you're not projecting it onto other people.
Yeah. I came home very
I
relaxed.
kind of love that actually.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a flash dance kind of movement, but
Yeah, but I'm just
amazing.
thinking,
Yeah.
how is your voice
for it.
going when you're listening to yacht rock? There's only so loud that you can sing that.
Listen,
Actually,
Christopher Cross is on Yacht Rock.
You just touched his heartstrings.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he might come over for a heart soon.
Absolutely.
You guys might share a heart.
I'll bring a calf or a spleen.
Yeah.
Absolutely no. I wail out. You know what? It's funny. I'll give myself up since I'm all by myself. I like to sing something like in the normal, like a air supply, like a normal, and then I like
Normal
to turn
register.
like a normal register. There's that high voice, and then I like to everything you can do. You just bring it down into country by just holding your nose and you just get a little nasally, get a little deeper.
Really?
Can you video this the next time you're driving?
Dude, I am
please?
setting
I
up.
would love
Yeah.
to see.
Lost in
Yeah.
love and I don't know much. Right?
Hell yeah.
Gotcha.
Great. Feel great.
Hell yeah.
Well, this is like tribal medicine. Like song is a huge part of what we've lost when
See?
we were like taking
guys
over.
are in trouble.
I sing too. I play the guitar and sing to my altar. It's more of just like a whole thing,
Yeah.
like a worship thing that I
I think we did our ceremony a couple weeks ago. We sat around and we did a podcast.
Yes.
We went out and imbibed some beverages.
We drank.
And then he sang Baby Got Back
I
at the
did.
bar in downtown
I did.
Denver.
I did. I was
Excellent.
exhausted after.
You were?
My diaphragm was, and I'm not even joking. I mean, it probably was the 9 drinks that I had prior to that, but it was not easy
Yes.
that night.
And not only did you shut it down, but
They shut down.
That bar is now closed.
Yeah.
It's never
That was their
been-
swan
literally
song.
shut it
That
down.
was their swan song.
The owner's just like,
Yeah.
this is just too much.
And every person, whatever they were doing, stopped what they were doing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Gave him the next
I've been getting it out through song
Yep.
for a long
You're
time.
welcome,
Yeah.
Gilbert.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like to make a statement like that when I sing karaoke too.
Yeah. I've dropped the mic. I'll break that mic.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
Good. All
Well,
right.
any
so we
other,
learned.
great, fun, interesting questions?
I have
for
one.
Asha
I
before
have
we-
one.
Okay.
Yeah, I have one. Thoughts on? So another one that we did was Blaine Long, who plays guitar and I think he's a solo artist now, but he plays at Isabel's too. Unbelievable man, unbelievable story. He wanted to do 5 years of therapy in 3 hours, so he went to Tucson and did
Ayahuasca.
ayahuasca. And said it was absolutely amazing. Why do I feel like nature and this type of thing? It's like, yes, use the things that are around you. I want your thoughts. Peyote, ayahuasca, cannabis. Like, what are your thoughts on it?
Well, I think each person has to kind of identify with their own medicine and what they're using it for. So, I mean, whatever I would say would be my own like personal preference, obviously. I've done an ayahuasca retreat before, so I've had the ayahuasca experience, and I've also like had experiences with psilocybin and cannabis and 5-MeO DMT and like Sananga and Combo and what else?
I don't know. What else?
Hape.
Was this around the flip, like around 2016, 17, or is this just like
Recent?
No, these are all, to me, if I'm going to use a plant medicine, it's going to be like in a ceremony. It's going to be with an intention, because I do believe like when you use them for intention, like that's when really profound experiences and growth can happen. But yeah, I think it's a lot of people have really transformative experiences on them. I've learned a lot of lessons from them, and now it's not necessarily something I feel like I need anymore for my path. I feel like at least at this point right now. But it's a very, to sit with like ayahuasca, it's something you have to think about for a really long time, and you usually set your date really far in advance. It's not something that I would like do last second. I would definitely do a lot of research on it, and if you prepared yourself, like going in, mine was a big initiation. It has to do a lot with that Asha name. So I went in with a really big intention and had a pretty powerful experience.
You came out renamed?
Well, my name came to me. That's when I officially accepted the name. The name came to me before that. So I had not assumed it at that point officially, but it kept coming back to me, wanting me to assume it. Wow. So
How long ago was this?
the name. So it's happened in phases over the past couple of years. And how this whole thing started was I decided I was going to paint a painting of my 5D self, which was kind of like an alien self, right? And so I painted this huge portrait of myself as an alien. And I was sitting in, oh my gosh, I'm so weird. I was sitting...
Not at all.
But in the most awesome way, though.
Yes.
Like in the most awesome.
Sure.
So I'm sitting and I have this private little yoga room in my house, and I'm sitting in there and I've got this, I put the painting on the floor and it's big and I'm sitting in front of it and I'm staring into its eyes and I've got a candle in front of it. And I'm just in this deep, meditative state with this painting that I've just painted, because I'm trying to it's this whole angsty transformational journey I'm on. So it's if I stare at this long enough, it's going to tell me something. And so this idea in how it comes to me, how downloads start happening is it's literal ideas that are so random, slap you. And this painting to me said my name is Asha. And I was well, that's kind of crazy. Okay. And so I was just referring to it as Asha, but then I realized this was a painting of me. Yeah. And so the more I would go sit down and meditate with this thing, I would realize this is my higher dimensional self. It's identity. It's assumed this identity. Well, I, kind of kept it to myself a little bit. I took it, eventually took it to the ayahuasca ceremony, but there was another experience where I was sitting in front of my altar again, and I looked over and I saw this, this book, and it had this beautiful woman's face on it. And I remember seeing this woman's face, and I set it up on my, facing me. And there was a bookmark in the book, and I took it and I opened it up, and the name of the chapter was Asha. I shit you not, I called my husband.
No coincidences.
Yeah.
No.
So then I started playing around with a lot of magical things at that point, what is possible. But I went outside and I was fine, I will accept this name. And then a feather falls out of the sky and lands at my feet. It was the wildest thing, the whole thing. And there was just more stuff in dreams with that name. But I was okay, I took it to the ayahuasca ceremony. I'm why does this keep coming back?
And none of that happened when you were stoned.
No.
Fuck. That's incredible.
I've had some weird ass shit happen too. That's not even the weirdest, but yeah, that was a...
Well, what is the weirdest then?
All right, so you're coming back every Monday.
Yeah.
We got to get all this stuff out of your head. All this Rolodex, all these numbers and all these thoughts.
Gosh,
we got to get all of this out.
There's a lot of weird things that happen.
That's fine.
I've had some wild experiences.
I love it that you're open to it, and I wish we could think of a different word for weird, because that's what I keep calling it too. But
Yeah, it's not right.
It's
That's
more
not cool.
I don't know how to describe it. It's you just actually being your true self and not the self that you're supposed to be, or whatever's supposed to be in air quotes is. Wow. This is the first of a 15-part series with Asha and Christina.
The journey.
That was amazing.
Yes.
And
Thank you.
The fastest hour and 18 minutes of my life.
Yeah.
And
I feel like we didn't even start yet.
No, we didn't even scratch.
Damn.
Jeez.
we'll have her back on.
Okay.
For sure.
All right.
And I was going to say, too, you have literally been on our list of guests since day one. And I'm so glad I didn't call you back then, because I feel like even your continuous transformation over the last year since we started this thing, you're a different person now. We're different people.
We would have been unprepared for her.
Oh, yeah.
When we
couldn't
first
have handled
started,
it.
right?
Yeah.
Our eyes
Yeah,
got
if you
open.
think we weren't prepared today, you should have saw us 6 months ago.
I thought you had great questions.
Cavemen with shoes on. That's it.
You did great.
Asha, thank you so much.
Yes.
This was amazing. I can't wait for everybody to listen. I think people are going to love it. So thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Oh, now give me just a little bit, and I don't need a lot. Open up your heart, show me what you got. Sugar taste, sweet coffee. Give me just a little bit. Give me just a little bit, and I don't need a lot. Open up your heart, show me what you got. Sugar taste, sweet coffee. Now give me